Hey guys, Michael at Chuck's Trucks. Today we're going to be covering how to install Bushwacker Fender flares on a 2008 Toyota Tacoma. This is just going to be a brief overview of typically how most Fender flares are going to install from Bushwacker. We're going to go over what should be in the kit and what you should look for as far as any kind of problems from shipping maybe, and then we're just going to go over all the basics of how to install your typical Fender flares. Through the video we'll give you plenty of information that might be hopefully helpful for you. First, unpackage your flares. Make sure to inspect your flares to ensure there's no damage from shipping. Read your instructions thoroughly. Also, make sure to check your hardware list against the hardware that you were sent. If you have questions regarding the warranty, usually there's some sort of information on the instructions. One tip is to go ahead and lay out everything that's included in the install, hardware, tools, etc., just to make sure that everything is present. Pocket style flares include nuts and bolts, so make sure to account for them before installing. If your flares were painted, make sure that your working surface is covered with a soft towel or soft blanket to ensure there's no nicks or scratches. Now it's time to assemble your flares. If you have pocket style flares, your first step is going to be assembling the nuts and bolts into the sides of the flares. Make sure to be careful not to nick or scratch the outside of the flare. And then additionally, if you're putting the flares on yourself, make sure that you tighten from the back and not the front to ensure that the Torx bit doesn't slip out and scratch the flare. Next is the gasket installation. You want to start by cleaning your flare. Additionally, just peel back a small portion of the gasket. Flip your flare upside down and start installing the gasket in small portions. The adhesive side of the gasket goes on the back side. Install the gasket in portions. Do about a 5 to 6 inch increment, then peel back the tape and massage the adhesive into the flare to ensure that it's sticking properly. Once the gasket is fully installed, just cut it flush with the end of the flare. Now you're ready to install your flares. Check the instructions to ensure that all necessary hardware, OEM flares, and badging have been removed. Once that is done, clean the mounting surface thoroughly. Now test fit the flares to ensure the proper fitment before installing. Once you're satisfied, gather all necessary hardware and tools that will be needed. Install the hardware by hand. Pay attention to the instructions, as some models may require a specific process for the install. Additionally, some applications may require an additional person to help line up the holes. Basic hand tools are usually all that is needed when tightening the hardware. This is necessary to ensure that the installer doesn't strip out hardware or potentially risk a power tool slipping and scratching the flares. Owners with vehicles that have an exhaust exit at or around a flare always want to double check the clearance of the exhaust to the flare. It's usually recommended that a minimum 4 inches or more separate the flare from the exhaust. Once the flares are tightened down, step back and inspect the clearances. Not all vehicles are the same or perfect, so results can vary from this application to the next. And that wraps it up, guys. Pretty straightforward installation. Instructions are a big help from Bushwacker. They're very specific, so make sure you read through them once or twice. Just a good idea of what you're dealing with. Additionally, any other help that you need can be found at www.bushwacker.com, as well as calling their 1-800 number that you can find on the website as well. Make sure you check out chuckstrucks.com for any additional info that you need on additional parts, and then also Chuck's Trucks on Facebook. If you have any questions, feel free to call us at the stores anytime you want. As always, thank you for watching.